How you doing? Welcome. Yay! Live stream time. So this is a Boombox demo I'm working on. Oh. Whoops. So we'll look at this. We got all sorts of stuff to play with today. This is going to be a fun day. Let's see. Everybody's waiting. Sorry for the delay. Oh yeah, I need more light. Hold on a second. Let's see here. There, hopefully that's better. So welcome to a live stream. We're rocking out. I have another demo I'm working on too. I'll show you. How's everybody doing? My goodness, there is so much to play with. Brilliant family of mine, I bid you all fond hellos. So check this out. This is crazy. There's 29 tracks. 29 of you guys have written a song for this. This is the first time I've ever done one of these, so this is kind of a fun thing. On Monday, I'm going to send out an email so that you guys can send me your votes, okay? Everybody gets to vote. Bring us all up together, man. Let's all keep rising together. So there's a couple really cool things happening with that. By the way, hello. My name is John Skippy Limcool. Welcome. You're all welcome here. We are here to learn. We are here to get better. We are here to play with music, play with sound. There's so much to show you guys, and I was up till like 4 in the morning. Here, I'm going to give you a pre-teaser because it's just so we will play with that in about an hour. I have more to show you. It's insane. It's insane. Insane. So good times. A lot going on. My goodness, I don't know if I've ever had so much going on with the site all at once. Did I lose stuff here? No, so I got that going on. That's going on. I think I have things set up so I can play you guys. You can't hear us very well. Hi. Low levels here too. Let me check. I've got a different system configured because let me see here. System preferences. I was doing see if I do this. See if this helps. But it makes it more live. I don't like that. You'll have to turn up your volume a little bit if it's not working right. I'm trying to get it so that I can play. I have it set up for the first time where I can play my computer. So like I can play. Do you guys hear the music? Let me know if you hear the music. I want to make sure everybody hears the music. Good. Yeah, I know the picture's blurred. I've noticed that a little bit. I don't know what's up. Good. All right. Well, I have configured things properly so that I can play from my browser as well as from Logic at the same time. We're advancing our technology a little bit. But so we have a lot to look at. There's a new library I released recently called BoomBox. There's also a library I released at the beginning of this month for Reactor that we need to remind you guys about. The sale prices for both this and for BoomBox, they're good until Tuesday night. And Let's load up the all three version because this has all three of my libraries in snapshots, which now comes with the library, so that you can go to Razor Chill and we're gonna look. I have some ideas to share with you for how to use these types of plugins that are notorious for completely killing your computer. Using that will take up like most of a processor, and if I'm doing videos, some of these sounds will like completely slow it down. So I have some production tricks I want to share with you that I use when I'm doing things sometimes, so that I can have these playing and doing like chords, right? If I play this with chords, A, it cuts out the notes, but B, it also makes it so that my computer just kind of falls apart. So we're gonna look at that in a little bit. I wanna show you BoomBox first, I believe. There's a lot to show there. And we need to look at the songs. Remember, tonight is the deadline to get a song done, to be added to this playlist. There's Gareth, we've got Mystic. Are you guys working on songs? It's awesome. Hey, Bernie. Ghost Party. So there's 30 songs now. 29. And I think I got an email for the number 30 earlier. So this is for fun. This is just to get you guys using the libraries. It's not sponsored by some big corporation. It's just me. Just a chance to write music. Use a free library that you guys created and write music. So get a song to me, either upload it to SoundCloud preferably. It's very easy to make your own account. It's free. You go to soundcloud.com. They let you upload an X amount of time. So with SoundCloud, just so you know, they don't work on a, it's interesting. You can upload the highest quality WAV file and use that, which I highly recommend, instead of an MP3. Don't export MP3s and load them. They have their own converting system that they will use. Although I'm curious if theirs is as good as like a really, that remains to be seen. But I upload WAV files, 24-bit high quality WAV files that they then go through and they parse out the auditioning MP3 version and all that kind of stuff. But you have a certain amount of time. And in that amount of time, it could be an MP3 file or it could be a 24-bit WAV file. And it doesn't change that you get less time if you're using a higher quality audio file. So make sure you do that. It doesn't limit anything. Yes, good students. Working on mine now. Yes, good. Glad you guys are working on it. There's time, so keep working on them. And it's so cool, the variety and everything that's going on. I'm really impressed. You guys have a lot of good stuff going on. We're gonna do a thing. Someone has already done this. If you want, you can send me your song file and we'll talk to me first to see if it's one that we want to look at, but maybe we will look at some song files in some live streams. And I'll throw out some ideas of what I would do, if that's helpful, as something fun to do in a live stream. So there's all sorts of stuff. So keep working on your songs. BoomBox. I want to share what BoomBox is about to start. This is a really fun library. At first, it was just supposed to be just hits and stuff because it's Halloween and it'd be fun to have, you know, all sorts of hits. But it really morphed into something a lot more than that, a lot more than I expected it would be. So let's see if I go here. This is my one for, I have a whole bunch of tracks playing. So I've got that opening song I played you. Right? I got this song. I have demo, so I can. This is a demo that is in one of the songs in the competition from Bob Ditas. He's the guy that, he's crazy. I think he lives in Greece. And I hire him to do a demo. I pay him a fee, and then he turns it into his library music for use in films and use on YouTube. And he's incredibly talented. So he is on the list. Oh, wait, turn that off. He did another one called Men and Lions, which just insanity. And that's 100% Boombox. It's crazy. I think there's a lion sample that he puts. He had a version without the lion sample, but I could barely tell where the lion is. Can you hear a lion? I kind of hear a growl here and there, but it's not like it stops and goes, I mean, it's in the mix so much that usually we have a, when he does a demo, he's using string libraries and orchestra and all sorts of different things. And he does a full mix, and then we do a naked mix. So you just hear what's in the library. But in this case, the only thing that's not in the library is the lions, and I barely can even distinguish them in the mix with my really high quality 64 audio in-ear monitors that I love to death. These things are most incredibly helpful. It's a game changer for me here at the house. So, yes. Lions. Boombox. In this library being sponsored by the letter O, John. Yes, I did an update to Boombox because of a demo that I did. It really opened up my eyes in a different direction doing the demo, and so I created a whole bunch of additional source patches really quick for it. So the idea with Boombox originally, it was originally going to be just the idea. Well, there's two things. My first idea was there are so many cool hits, and these are the tonal, and here's the atonal. There's all these, and they're not grouped. There's no way to say, show me all of the hits. And at first it was just to put everything together. So I did that. I put all the sweeps together. Oh, these are mine that I made, but all these here that are core, that say core, the core ones are just a single sample from the library with nothing else done to it. Because part of the agreement I have with Spectrasonics is that for anything I make, it's 100% initialized. I don't use any patches that pre-exist in any of the Omnisphere libraries by anybody else. And that's just the way I work anyhow. So I needed to make these so that I could make multis, which ended up making more of the patches that are in the library. So I wanted to go through, I spent like a week going through and organizing out all of these core samples so they're all together. Because if you're doing any kind of dramatic work, film work, TV work, it's really nice to have these available. It's not like, there's not, you could say distorted reality if you go to the, if you go to just, say Spectrasonics and type in here, distorted reality, the entire CD, back in the day, Eric made a CD called Distorted Reality that was an audio CD, and it was for Roland and Akai samplers, back when hardware samplers were a big thing. And you have everything, but it's not organized in a way that's easy to like group them together. Right? It's all over the place. And you could do some search things, but there's different things categorized to different categories. So there's not just one that would get you just all the things that are like hit related. So I wanted to organize it because I use those things a lot of times in my productions, and I want to have one place to go to that has those. So that was kind of the start of the organizing. And then I started to make these multis, and they came out so cool. Check this out. So like some of the hits, like this one here in particular, was really fun, using LFOs and all sorts of programming tricks to those sounds. Right? And then this was really fun. I might do a whole library in the future of this kind of stuff, where it's chordal. This is using a really cool trick. There's this one sound called delayed flute trill. And what it is doing that's kind of unique is it's using the arpeggiator to repeat it. So it's a sample of just a flute. And then it hits delays and splashes all out. And about the time it fades out, it hits again. And I'm doing that. I set up a delay here 100% to one measure. So that would delay it before it actually would be when I play a note. It starts there on 9. And I did that just so that way I could have the upbeat. When I play a note, it would be delayed that amount of time. So doing that is really fun because you could cycle through different samples. And like we talked about last week, and then I showed a lot in the video for BoomBox, if you're on like this and you hit sound match right here, it will list all the samples of flutes. So what if you put that into this mix? Cool, different vibe. Right? So that was one side of it. I wanted really cool hits. So there's a ton of really cool, huge hits that are so useful for so many different things. But then I started playing with this other side of it, which was now that I have these things, how could, you know, we talked about a while ago in a live stream about transitions and sweepers and putting things in. I was like, you know, I don't really have a library that has that in it. And so I started to make these things called sweeps with counts. And it got really carried away, and I made a whole bunch more because they're so useful. And what these are that are unique, let me just check chat real quick because we're talking away. Too low volume for music. Everything might be a little low. Let me do this. I'm hearing people saying it's low, so I bring things down just a little bit so I don't overdrive. But I have settings here I can use. Let's do that. Is that better? A little more level? Hopefully I'm not going to be distorting too much. I could bring this up even more. How's that? So, better? It's louder. So now when we play over here and let's play some, let me check my mix. I just want to make sure that, yeah, okay, I'm not overdriving. So I made these sweeps, and what's cool with these, a couple things. I found that I could have settings that I could set for the granular, so that even things that are one-shots become a body of sound that keeps going. So a lot of these use... I'm using that for a 16 count, which is a full one measure sweep going up in pitch. And if you turn off granular, and let's see, let's unmodulate the pitch, and let's see here. It's a hit, right? But because of the granular, let's turn off this, set this like this, like this. It echoes and keeps going. And it has all this really cool stuff in it. So these are so useful. So here is, I was working on a trap demo. Here is a drum groove, just a typical, right? And then I created these elements inside of BoomBox. And the fun element, there's another element besides these sweeps, and that's these residuals, I call them. They're things to stick onto snares or kicks. Up here, drums, residual elements. And I made a whole bunch more after doing my live stream video. I made a few more, including one that's just a sine wave, because I found that it'd be cool. Here, let me show you. So if we go like this and get up here to the residuals. These are sounds. And most of these are tempo synced. So you could hit snap and you could set these to be shorter if you wanted to be gated. The other thing that's cool is that they're using different categories of sounds. And I was very careful to pick out different things. So if you like this, you could go over here to the sample list and hit sound match, and it will give you a ton of other weird, cool, glitchy things you can immediately put onto your drum groove, right? So here is the really cool residual. Let me show you. Was this one. Like, after doing just the hits, I realized and remembered that we've got these envelopes that can like be extended for all sorts, right? And then I set them to mono so you could play. So it's still cycling, it's still a drum residual hit, and then it fades back in, but you can be playing melody. And so the new one that I made at the very last moment was, that's a long one. And this has a ton of uses, guys. This right here, this one patch. You could change waveforms and do all sorts of really cool things with that one element right there. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 different BoomBox elements. And you add those with the trap drum groove, and then a sine wave from Omnisphere. Right? Let's see if I can get everything to be added all at once. Please. Here we go. So that's using a sine wave from Omnisphere. All these cool sweep stuff happening from BoomBox. And then a drum groove, a trap groove on Super Macho drums. And then I added, this is Athena. You guys might appreciate this. I was wanting to make like a, there's all these like vocal, hey, 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 happening on the trap tracks and stuff. So Athena short growl, envelope shorter and put through the harmonia and little wave shaping on it. And you have a So these are really useful elements. It's maybe the most useful library for all sorts of productions I've released, just because these timing elements, these things that do the sweeps and so forth. I've got little bits and pieces of things like this in other libraries, but I haven't really put together one library that was focused on really taking a production, taking something that you're working on that sounds like you have a drum groove, right? But there's not a lot of personality there, right? But if you add a clap residual element, and then this is the cool one right here. This is one of the fun ones. This is a sweep. And I was going to show you guys how to do these. So let me show you the idea. Because this is a sweep sound, This is on, I believe it's 2, 3, 5. Oh, that's right. I had the other song going. So it was right here. The 8th note count granular up. Right? The best way to sequence these, because it's like, well, how do you use something like this? Let's do this. Let's add this to our trap track. So, and what's fun is because it's tempo synced. Well, here, I'll show it this way. So here's our groove with all this stuff happening. And the fun thing about this is that it sounds good at this tempo. The sweep is a long sweep right here. And there's a sweep element right here, which just hits for that one measure, just a little. Those things all make such a huge difference in your production to have those versus not having them. So here it is again, but instead of at 138 beats per minute, let's make it 80. And everything tempo syncs immediately without having to do anything else. And even this long 16 major sweep. So they still are tempo locked. There's all sorts of sample libraries you can buy of sweeps and hits and stuff, but they're samples and they don't change with your music because of the fact that Omnisphere has envelopes that I can click the sync button. That means it is synchronized, so when I change tempo, it will expand this shape to match that timing space no matter what my tempo is. It will recalculate. It's one of the unique features of Omnisphere that I haven't really delved into on this type of level with the library. In this way, for rhythmic production, getting everything to have a cool thing to it, right? I mean, if you take this song, and it goes into a fun little sweepy song, and let's put it back to like 128. Right? If I just have the drum groove, if I mute all these guys, and you have, you know, there's a lot more going on to have elements added to it. So that's where Boombox really shines to me. Adding the hits and stuff is like the bonus on top. So yeah, it's got some fun capabilities there. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna kill audio. I have another demo song I want to load up and play for you guys. So hang on one second. Make sure that I'm ready to load this up. I made sure that I didn't. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so 1 second. I'll be right back. The audio is gonna go away for a second, but then I should be right back. Two. There we go. Oh. Let's do this. I had my mastering effects on, so say no. There's a lot of latency. Okay. Now we're live. So this is a demo using 2 Omnisphere, playing 16 sounds in total from Boombox. And I'll show a couple tricks through here, some things that I did. Let me play the demo first. This is World War X. So here we go. Different vibe. This is all Omnisphere. Nothing but Omnisphere. So more cinematic, like some cue that you'd find in a Blade Runner movie or something. A couple cool tricks. So a lot of times you want to have sweeps, and sometimes when you're doing the laying out, like for example this one right here, this was I believe a hit. And I believe this is one of them on track 3. Track 3, I believe. Yeah. This is a platform. It's just a sample. And so placing these is challenging. How do you get it to be timed where you want it when it's just a sample? This is not one that's synced up. Well, there's two solutions. What I should have done that I didn't do is I could have easily gone, okay, this is platform 2. I would go up to, that looks to be like a 4 major. I'd do it as a 4 major, so 4, that's 16. So I'd go to my 16 count right here, and I want to pitch up. And so I'd say platform 2. And that sample will show up so I can plug it in to my sweep. Now the volume's really soft, so let me bring it up here. And platform 2. Where are we at? Oh, that's right here. Oh, that's why it's in the end of it. Right? So there's this way of actually plugging it in to it so that I could like delete this, have the volume be up. Oh wait, undo, get this volume to be up. So if I play this again, turn on my click. On. And when I quantize it, it will now be in sync. Let me crank it to be a little bit louder. That's on track 3. So we could goose the volume a little bit here. We could also look at this. I have an amp envelope attached to the EQ, something like that, to make it the sweep even more. So if I bring up the intensity of that by right-clicking on this modulated state and say, show me that, I can shape that to be a little bit louder here. So I'm doing that to... So it's synced. So that's pretty cool. Now, if I was to do this the old school way, where it was not synced like that, and I was instead using, let's see, platform 2, right? Trying to get these placed right is tricky because it's not synced. That's why the sync is a lot easier, and you should use that method instead of this method. But if you want to place something like this that's set as a sample, how do you do it? You would first play it and have it where you'd play. And it's off by quite a bit, right? So let's turn it down because it's really loud now. But I want to be able to hear it clearly. And so I would adjust it probably, it seemed like it was about that much off. You would look to see how much off it is and then shift it to be a little bit later. maybe a little bit, just a little bit. And this is where using control and logic, this is also going to be a little bit of a logic tutorial, just because it's what I use. But with control, you can get much more gradiated. And if you use control and option together, you can now be moving at like single ticks in resolution. That's close. Now, if you wanted, let's do this. If this automation didn't exist, so it was like that and you couldn't see it, but I want to do automation to that track inside of this. There's 8 Omnisphere patches going on in this, but I want to specifically control the volume of just part 3. If I was to do your standard automation on your thing to volume, I believe like this. This brings down the volume of everything, right? So if I go like this, just so we really know that it's messing things up badly. Yeah. They're all gone. So this is controlling the whole volume globally of all the Omnisphere tracks. There's no sliders are moving, but the master volume is being controlled internally. This is like the output of Omnisphere. So we don't want to do it that way. So double click, make these all go away. And when I double click the last one, it will go back to being no automation on that track. This is the technique that you would use to wake up automation. At least it's how I do it. There's a couple different ways, I'm sure. But if you set the track, this is assuming that I'm on multi-channel with, this is on channel 3 for this, so I know that I'm playing, and it's playing channel 3 right here. So if you change this to latch, and you just hit play, and then move number 3 slider, that immediately recorded automation into Logic. That's because the first step you have to do for any automation, you have to just do this once and then it remembers it from then on, is you have to right click and you have to register. Like if I go to any of these that are not registered and say enable host automation, that would make that slider or that knob, wherever it is in Omnisphere, whatever level it is, available for automation. Until you do that, you cannot automate, okay? Hey Woody, welcome. So it's good to see good people here. 75 people here. Awesome. That's a big crowd. Good crowd. So by doing that, I now have the ability to control the volume of this sweep. And it's really fun because now I can go like this, set this to be right at the downbeat. And this will accentuate that sample and make it more perfect than it would be otherwise. And if you hold down Control and Shift, you can change your curvature. And by doing that, I now have automation happening. See the slider moving? And then you can do it to taste. You might need to have it be a little bit later out. But this works because you don't have to have the sample be perfect now 100%. You can use the automation to make it even more accentuated and do exactly what you want. So that's a really nice technique that I use all the time. Like this little hat, there's this hi-hat part, right? And the mod wheel. Oh, it's going back to its volume. So let's go up here where it's louder. I have the mod wheel set. I got all these different timing values. So this is on speed hat mod wheel. And so by doing that, I was able to then automate the volume after I'd recorded the timing thing. So I had places where I would have it totally drop out. I would do a total like a cool sweep right here. Right? So those types of sweeps are really easy to do once you've enabled host automation and you start automating just the track volume for that one part. So we did that a lot. At Resolute, I'm tempted if I can just think of a good topic. So that's the main thing that started this. I actually did a live performance with this really cool patch called the Junkyard Bonker. And that actually is a part, let's see if I copy this multi, I can quickly mess it up. So if I go over here to multis, to Boombox, I came up with this really cool, I'm gonna share with you guys, it was really fun. This keyboard sound, the Junkyard Dulcimer. And it was it was 3 different patches that by themselves it has kind of the, I was like, that kind of sounds like a dulcimer, but it needs more body. And I put a little pitchy G on the chiffy part. So the 3 together make like a dulcimer. So that was pretty cool. So if I go and I hit paste, it will load back up the multi used in this song. So I have just Bonker by itself is really cool for. So I just did a performance with that to start with. I just was. It took like 4 or 5 times of playing. I would use the mod wheel, which and because it's an auxiliary bus, the reverb keeps ringing out. Which is really fun. So those types of techniques is really easy to get. You need to be able to control the volume of each part in Omnisphere at times. And so that was kind of the idea behind this demo. So this library has 310 or 11 patches. Checking with my daughter. Stranger Things is messing up schedules. Here, let me go back to, well, let's do this. I want to actually do this. Let's initialize. I wanted to do the talk. I want to share with you guys a couple thoughts and ideas on CPU hogs. And I think I'm going to do that in the other track. So 1 second. I'm going to close this song down and go back to the other song. We're back. Hi. All right. Things are working. I love it. I love when technology works. And I had customer questions, and then we're going to play with cello. So there's a lot going on still. My goodness. So let me do this. Let's take, maybe the techno idea would be funnest to work with. So I'm going to delete the trap. I go like this. Take the techno idea, that here to the beginning. Now, let's slow it down a little bit. That's what's nice with using drum patterns and stuff instead of loops. Is that so if I wanted to play like a cool chord thing, right now I have an Omnisphere thing taken off once the groove starts. I'm going to delete those. And we're going to go over here and change it to be reactor 6. Because that's our CPU hog for sure, right? Let's do this. We'll have a bass line, and then we're going to try to play chords. And we're going to have problems. I can tell you right now. And then we're going to think of a solution to how to fix that problem. And there's a couple ways to do it that are kind of fun. So let's get a bass line. And I might use something from Evil Razor. Something solid. I do have solid also in Razor Chill, so we could. That'd be cool. Cancel. So, I don't know what that was, but we're writing around it. We're going with it. Sans Razor bass. And then we're going to have another track. So I'm going to double click down here, which will quickly make another track. And let's call up reactor again. What are we talking about? Oh, they're talking about wintertime. Okay, good. That was kind of like E flat, C minor stuff. So let's go to find a sound. My computer might freak out. The visual might have problems while I am. Let's use a pluck, and you can tell I've already got latency in my earbuds. That's cool. Now, you know, for what I want to show, I mean, that's a cool song direction, but I need something that's not quite so funny, you know. Let's just do a bass tone so we can play pads over it, because that's where I want to really show you the fun stuff. I have some fun ideas. Okay, so we have, that's a little bit easier to write with a pad sound, right? But let's use a pad, like a real pad, because that's where we're going to really have big problems. So go pad. Gotta find the right pad first. We might need to adjust the shape of it. Oh, here we go. So I'm hearing notes cut off and my computer's freaking out. It's taking all the polyphony of the power, right? So let's record this. Okay, so I have some cool chords in there. If I repeat it again. Let me just listen real quick. Hear the notes cut off. So there's two ways to do this. One is to bounce it down as audio. Well, there's a couple of different ways. Let's give you all the possible options. Here's one. Let's move this up here. And if I hit X to see my mixer, I should be able to see. So I can option click and it will make an exact duplicate of this reactor over on this other reactor. So I have two reactor plugins set with the pad, right? So this is, call this pad 1, and we're going to call this pad 2. And this one will be pad tie. Sorry, had to do it. Okay, so here's pad. They sound identical, right? So what you would do as one idea, let's take just this guy here and let's duplicate the tracks. And let's open it up in a note editor so I can see it. And I'm purposefully look at this and say this note and this note I'm gonna get rid of. And then I need to make it so I can see the two. Oh wait, let me undo that. I need to duplicate it first. So the idea being I'm gonna have two plugins. Each one of these, and someone asked another question about this, about polyphony and whether to use one omnisphere or when to use two omnispheres. And this is a similar thing because I'm using two versions of Reactor. Each one is on its own core of my computer. So if I was to look at the cores being used, this is hitting one core, and this should be hitting a different core, I believe. That's my understanding. So if I do this and I take and I divide it up, if I was to even just do this, there's so many ways to do this, but here's a shortcut way. So we're going to take the scissors and let's say cut it there, and we'll say keep for each of these. We'll say keep. And then we're going to divide this one to the same places and say keep. So that way it has it set so that they're consistent. And then I can go back to my pencil tool. See where I'm heading? Like this plays for that one, doesn't play for that one, plays for that one, doesn't play for that one. Are there any notes? No, there's not any notes. Okay, that won't work. So let's do this, and maybe if we cut with scissors and we say split, or wait, cancel. Let's do this just on downbeats. And let's say split. And this way it will split the notes so that they will be re-triggered. It might sound cool. We'll see. So this is one technique. I have a couple other ones to show you that I want you to think about. So just delete every other one. And volume right. So if I listen to this now and I solo, there's no notes being cut off because it's two different Reactor 6s being asked to play this part. All right, no spoilers about Stranger Things in the chat, please, because I haven't seen it all yet. I'm waiting to watch it with my daughter. So that's one approach. The other approach that's maybe even more fun is to do this. Let's do this. We'll put them all together. And then let's bounce this out as audio, bounce in place. And this is razor chill chopped. So there it is. It has recorded as an audio file now, this, so I can and you still hear it doing the chopping, right? You hear the polyphony now going back to being gone, but that's okay because I'm going to take this in a different direction. This is more for a production thing to be unique. So I've chopped it into pieces, right? And let's take this and turn off solo, but I'm going to say convert these to a sampler track, right? And this is razor chill chopped. So, and I think it maps it way down the keyboard if I recall. Yeah, it does it. So what I need to do is go to these notes. It's like, thanks for doing that. Let's transpose it all up. 1, 2, 3. And let's take all of these and make sure that we have, so that there's no pitch. So now I've turned it into a sampler track, and I can delete this because I don't really want it to play the sampler track. I want to be able to turn off solo, maybe turn up the volume. Now I have these things that I can play with. Turn off solo, start at 9. And I'm all of a sudden way more modern than by just having it be a pad over it. So just like that, I flipped it on you guys. So I hope you were paying attention. Taking pads and recording them out and chopping them into pieces. Gives you all sorts of really cool things to now do. So, and I could go over here and go, this is one of my favorite features in Logic, is it recorded that even though I wasn't recording. I use this all of the time. This is like, this sold me on Logic 20 years ago. Because for me, when I hit the record button and I start to record something, I'm immediately taken into, oh, I gotta be prepared to write that. When I'm just playing and having a good time and not thinking about anything, I get cool stuff. And nothing else that I know of. I don't know any other sequencer that does a capture while it's playing so you can grab it at any time. And most of my songs are done that way because I know for a fact I don't work so well when it's record 2, 3, 4 and then play. That pressure scenario and having to be like, this is a take and stuff. If all the time it used to be, you know how you're working with people and someone goes, dude, what'd you just play? That was so cool. And, you know, if it's one of those things where you can go back and go, oh, well, let me push a button and here's what I just played, because for me, I forget it. So, oh, Cubase does that too. Oh, good. I'm glad Cubase now does that. You guys are talking funny. I haven't read any chat. I've just been going off on my thing here. So, let me read chat real quick. No, I'm glad Cubase does that. All right. So that is chopping up pads and stuff that started in a CPU heavy plugin, or if I was to do this with a pluck sound, say that I wanted to have a pluck that was doing something cool. Let's do the same thing just to show you another concept with this approach. So instead of Ode to Fallen, let's go to Razor Chill. And I don't see, I'm holding down my mouse button, so it's gonna do that. So let's go like that and scroll down. Now there's some clicks I would fix with envelopes. You could look at the samples and edit the attacks to clean it up if you needed to. That's cool. Maybe less ambience. I've got velocity being set to the... Yes. So if Cubase can do that, that's great. It used to be only Logic was the one that came up with that idea. And it's still to this day. Cubase and Logic have a lot of very, very, very similar things. The other things in Logic that are big selling points to me is I could take this bass part and it would be very easy to use the scissors tool to chop this into elements and then go through and have each one of these elements set to all sorts of different parameters, timing wise, quantize wise, velocity, gate, how I played things for this whole performance, save the song, come back months later, and all of these parameters, if I had this up an octave, and I had this quantized to one of the swing values, so it swung a little bit, and this one here also swinging a little bit, maybe a different swing value. That kind of stuff that's saved in a non-volatile situation, so I can go back and change those things, are really handy. I do so much stuff with Logic, so whatever you use, just know it. I used to print out this Logic has these key commands forever, and one of the options is to copy commands to a clipboard and paste it to a text editor and print it out. And I would go to bed reading that sometimes and just looking down the list to see what this sequencer can do, to learn everything it's capable of doing. So if you haven't done that, the sequencer is a copy of your brain, but it's a limited copy of your brain if you don't know the abilities you have over there in your sequencer. So learn them. Whatever you use as your sequencer is great. Just know it as well as you can, because that's where you will get all sorts of cool other things like, oh, I could do this. I could split this out as audio. I could chop it up. I can go different places with things. That's something that's really important to be able to do. So whatever you use, just know it. Well, yeah, there is no Logic for Windows. There used to be. A lot of people love Studio One. Studio One's come a long ways. I have a number of friends at ADO that are like, man, Studio One is it. And they don't use Cubase anymore. They don't use Logic. But I do so much with this program. Between last night and this morning, I chopped up 600 samples. Strip silenced, set them up, spit them out, and I mapped the cellos that I want to show you guys as the treat, which is about to start. Nobody knows everything the big DAWs can do. It's true. There is so much. I mean, the list of parameters in here is crazy. So before we do the trick or treat, let's do questions. I had some really good questions asked this week. If you have a question that you want to ask, pop it into the chat and we'll bring it up. Here we go. Oh, I also wanted to point out this. Don't forget. Don't forget. Studio. What was the name of the Eventide reverb? Remember, there's a free Eventide reverb. Make sure you pick it up before the 1st of November because it's still free. And I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's really nice. It's a nice reverb. It's definitely worth owning if you don't own it. We're to go over here and Eventide. Oh, you can't. Probably shouldn't see that. There's stuff in there that's protected. And it's not shown up as Eventide's Newfangled Audio. I think it's the free EQ, the free Equivocate. Make sure you get the free EQ. The Equivocate's great. So, someone was asking me if it was a free reverb. It's not a free reverb, it's a free EQ. The Equivocate reverb or EQ is free until November 1st. So if you don't have that, make sure you get that. And then they have the special promotion on Elevate if you need compressing, limiting, all that kind of cool stuff. So that was one thing I wanted to point out. A quick question. When you have several Omnisphere tracks in a mix, why would you choose different layers in a single instance versus using multiple instances? I always use multiple instances. It's nice to have, well, if your computer is being worked hard, splitting out to 2 Omnisphere is going to allow it to probably work better. Once it gets to where it's like you're seeing that it's getting close to like that's all the CPU use available, load up a different Omnisphere to see if that changes, because it now puts it onto a separate core. It's doing its thing while the other one is on its other core doing its thing. So that's pretty handy to do. The other thing is it's sometimes easier to do multiple Omnisphere. A lot of times just bass I'll have on one Omnisphere. I don't have to go through the process of bussing everything out. But if I'm doing a full production song, I typically bus to separate audio tracks every sound because it sounds considerably better than when it's just coming through a stereo output. And that's something we'll talk about when we do a live stream on music production, because the same track, when it's all just one stereo bus sending out 8 Omnispheres, sounds very different than when you bus it out to 8 separate audio tracks. Even if it's one Omnisphere, just different audio channels allows it to be processed independently in a way that makes a difference to your song. So there's a couple reasons. There's the CPU reason. There's the choice for mix reason. Like, want my bass to be separate, I'm going to put a sine chain compressor and I'm going to have that be controlled by a kick. That's easier if it's a separate plugin than if it's one of 8 sounds coming from one plugin that you have to now route out to its own audio track and get set up. The other question that was interesting is I have a question I've heard mentioned about converting multis into patches. Have you explained the process of that in one of your videos, or would you be willing to share how it's done? He thought it would be private and I wouldn't share it publicly, but I don't mind sharing this. It's not a big secret. It takes some work. I thought it said do not disturb, but I guess I did not. Come on. Do not disturb. So if I have a multi, let's go over here. Multi, and let's say initialize this multi. Oh, I better hurry up. It's cello time. If I had one of the multis like this and I wanted to save out the patches, right? Which we did do. Every one of these is a separate patch. So this is 4 patches. Each time you click one of these buttons, 2, 3, 4, you were looking at that specific patch for editing, right? If I solo just this, and when you save a patch, it does not look at the volume settings here. It's going to be saved at full volume if you load it into another multi later. So you go over here, and as you see on multi, patch is not available, right? But if I hit 1, I now can see save patch as, and it's just the same process as saving a patch. You'd say where you want to save it, save, replace, okay. And you go through the process of designing your tags. So it will search through the sound match and all that kind of ability. You need to do tags. It won't let you save unless you put in tags for what's in the red box anyhow. Save it. And once you've saved it, go to part 2, save patch as. But you only do this after you have the multi with everything happening the way you want. Having said that, if I come back the next day, I'm working on this and I do something different to this part of the sound. All I have to do is go to 3 and go save patch quick and say yes, and it will update that patch. And then make sure that you resave the multi so that it takes, because multis store the patches inside that multi file. It doesn't reference the patches in the folder of patches. The patch in the folder could be the name that's in the multi, and they could be 2 completely different sounds, completely different. So you want to make sure when we're doing the work, once we've saved out each of these patches as a multi, you make sure you save that multi again. So that way it works now, so that when I go here, it goes to the library and it shows up the proper sounds, you know? So that's very important, but that's the process. Let's see, are there any questions in chat? Yes, I did add, with all the tags, I can see the benefits, but I wish Omnisphere had a quick save work in progress without tagging. And then perhaps make sure it sounds as you do. I kind of agree with that, but I think it's one of those things where if you had an option to not do it, you wouldn't do it. And then it would totally break Omnisphere from what Eric really wanted it to be, which was this thing that you could go back and find things in a way. It's their call. They decide that stuff. I don't know if I would do that myself, but it did make it an interesting environment that is very robust. And if you're working in film and you need specific things, if you're working on a project and you've gone through and you've picked out a whole bunch of sounds, by the way, one thing that's really handy, if you're going through, I don't know, you can't do this with the stuff in the Omnisphere libraries because it needs to be saved to a new library. But all my libraries, since they're, or any third-party libraries, you can hit the folder and you can edit the tags at any time. And if you're going through and you're working on a film or a record project, if you go in here and you say space and say some other word, you know, the name of the record is going to be Lucid, right? And I will go through this. I find this sound. I really like this sound. It's going to be in this project. So if I say Lucid, if I go now to search and I say Lucid, those patches show up. So you can search and make your favorites for a specific project and have multiple projects running, just type a new, if you go to this little folder and you hit edit tags and now, oh, I'm going to use this. I'll use it in Lucid. Oh, that's right. Well, now I'm using it in Eclipse. I can't spell Eclipse. Eclips. That doesn't look right. Yes, one of my problems is spelling sometimes. So anyway, that's the name. If I was to go up here and say search by that name, that patch shows up. So you can put the same tag, you can put multiple tags into that spot all over the place. All right. Makes sense. So yeah, you have to, the tagging system is there on purpose and you have to respect it. If you don't, it's really easy for chaos to ensue. All right. So it's that time. I want to give you guys a little quick preview. This is, believe it or not, just dry samples. Let's see, did I save? Oh, I didn't save it. So let me do this. It's not that. It needs to be. Hold on a second. Let me go like this. New track. These are in EXS24. They are not finalized in any way, just so we're clear. And for some reason, my mouse is deciding to freak out on me. So let's get this so it comes to working. And let me go over here so that I can call up. Here we go. So I'm going to put just a little bit of ambience on this because acoustic instruments don't sound quite right without a little. So let's bring this to be like 20%, a little more decay. So this is later in November. November is the month for cello. And these are dry. These have not gone through the Mega Magic process yet. So there'll be dry versions. I have to make these first. So I make the dry versions. Couple cool things. The cello player was unbelievable. And so I will probably do libraries in the future with him to do more complete. I designed this for Omnis here. So I didn't sample every note. So these are not like for the solo cello. It's not for that. There's lots of libraries that do the solo cello and stuff like that. I'm doing something different. So just so we're clear right off the bat, I'm not going for solo cello. I'm going for really cool things you play on your keyboard that inspire you, that are cello in nature. So the crescendo, this is a dry crescendo. It starts kind of soft. Okay. Cool. Glad you guys like. So, this is the cello up, down. So this is a playing. Lovely stuff. Motion fast dry. I mean, once these are programmed out into Omnisphere patches with all sorts of stuff going on, I mean, it's going to be insanely beautiful. Also notice this. So this is this many samples across the keyboard. I believe we're at 9 for a lot of these. So one has to go away for Omnisphere. But let's take number 9 sample. And it probably will exist in patches. And one sample across the whole keyboard. Is really cool. So once these are looped, all that kind of stuff happening. In fact, when you call these up in patch mode, remember it's only a single sample. So you're going to call up this sound and it's going to be a cello sample that's just... The only way you're going to hear all the samples is in multi-mode. So... So these are lovely. I mean, I know after 30 years of doing sampling sessions and working on lots of things, when I hear Source and when I heard him playing, I was like, this is just... I was very excited, so... The other thing, I hate this with virtually every sample library of orchestra stuff, strings and stuff. How to save the files containing all the... Oh, okay. I'll do that in a minute, Gareth. I've done that in other videos too. The saving process I've shown in the last live stream. But we'll cover that at the end, okay? Most sample libraries, they limit the instruments to just a predefined range, and they don't let it go above and below that range. And this cello player, I said, can you play C4? He played that. So this is cello in a range you don't hear in most libraries. So these are just incredible. It's pure gold. Here's with vibrato. And for the contact library, I will definitely try to do some round robin, because I do have let's see here. I need to get back here. I want to take the reverb down a little bit. Yeah, let's do this. I want to have it stop doing that. So you come over here and you can come up here. Let's do a nice it doesn't have all the other performance elements, so it doesn't sound like a real cello in that sense, but when you're playing... So it's lovely. Pits. It's going to be lovely with reverb on it. Spiccato. I have shorter spiccato, and these are kind of sharp. And that's it at the moment. So really excited for how these are going to turn out. They sound great already. So that is Mega Magic Cello coming in November. Can't wait. Can't wait. Any questions? Long samples with vibrato too. No, but the long samples with vibrato probably can be looped so that it's looped and has vibrato that goes forever. Or are you generally playing do these motifs you are playing sound so made because you're playing in the performance specific to cello technique? Well, that's part of the, you have to play sounds to what they are. If you play a choir like a piano, it sounds like crap. If you play a cello, I mean, you can make it sound bad, but if you play just chords, and then if you think of your Eleanor Rigby and the way that, I mean, the nice thing with the cello is that the attack and the quality of it and stuff like that. Approximate release date, sometime in November when I'm done. It's like we used to be with like all the video games. The game is done when it's done, and same with the libraries. When it's done, I'll know it's done, and I'll be happy to release it to the world to work with. Make another song killer. Just press a key and start dreaming. Yes. And what I'm really proud about is that this is, what, 8 samples? And you look at anything on any string library, and it's at least 10,000 samples. And it's 15 gigabytes. And it's all this ridiculous, just, I mean, great, go for it. I'm not buying those. I don't have the hard drive space for those. But if you want to, go for it. But this is 8 samples. So it doesn't take thousands. Now, I can't do everything with this that you can with an 8,000 sample library. So they do have their place. If you need that type of thing, they are there. But this is different. All right. So any question? I didn't say which November. This year's November. I have to release libraries to pay my bills. So there's this nice, when something new comes out, you guys like to buy the libraries and then it goes away. So I have to keep releasing stuff pretty often to keep my boat afloat. All right, any questions? We're about to wrap up. Happy Halloween to everybody. I won't see a live stream until after Halloween. Maybe we'll do one on Halloween. Well, people with families and stuff, I don't want to intrude. No Stranger Things then. Stranger Things is 9 hours. It's not a problem. I watched the first episode. It was very good. Contact will come, but I don't think it will be Contact first. I think Contact will be a separate version of the library. I'm hoping to do Round Robin and some other things with some of the notes to make it, we'll see. I mean, it's just, you know, creative, fun stuff. Make creative sounds is my goal in life. So here I am. There you are. Glad you're there. So thank you. I expect lots of dubstep cello to come out soon. Oh, this is the motion slow. So there's bowing back and forth on each note. And of course, if you take this and you do enveloping, right? You do nice long envelopes and growth. Let's have the filter controlled by an envelope. And then if I go over here and I add that's a nice long reverb. And it's just gets even better. Cool stuff. Very exciting. Cello in space. So I'm very excited. No reverb damping. So the Mega Magic version will be kind of in this vibe. Not so muddy. All right. What was the function name of the recording it constantly in Logic you showed? It's called capture. And if you put up your key commands and type capture, in fact, this is one of those that's hidden, just like all the nice things in Apple. They hide everything so that you have to make your hard drive show up on your desktop and all those things that they just hide. If you right-click right in here where it says Customize Control Bar and Display, you have right here Capture Recording you can turn on this way. So it's a button right here with a little white ring around it. And that way, anytime you're playing something, if I'm here and I've got solo lock on this and I'm just playing away and I hit stop and I hit capture, there it is. So that is the best way to make it available as a button right here. The rule is this: if you hit stop and you don't move the time position pointer back, if this gets moved back, if you hit stop and go to the beginning, it's gone. So the key is you hit play, you're recording, you're just playing. You hit stop and then you hit capture and it's there. But if you were to hit stop and stop again so it goes back to the beginning, capture is gone. Remember the saving tags question. Okay. And start question. Stars. Right. So that would be an Omnisphere when you have a patch that you've created, right? And you want to save it and you go save as. So first of all, you have to figure out what the patch is. So let's initialize. And let's say that it was something like this. Oh wait, I gotta be on channel 1 over here in Logic. So let's go up here to... So you have to realize what you have sound-wise, so that when you go to the Save Patch As, the steps are this. Typically it will be to the patches user folder. And if your folder doesn't look like this, then above in this level, go to your computer finder and navigate this. There's a zip folder that says, I think current categories.zip, I believe is the name of it. And unzip that and rename it user. And that becomes your user folder so that you have all of these tags. These are the tags Omnisphere relies on to work. So you need to see ARP and BPM, bells, bow, distortion, all of these guys, right? So this is kind of, this obviously go into bell and vibes. By choosing bell and vibes, whatever I name this, let's use this name. That means that the tags that show up are bell oriented. If I was to change my folder that I save into the synth bass folder, these tags are going to be synth bass related. That's why this system works as well as it does. It's very, very deeply thought out. There's a huge amount of thought about this. It's not some like just little tag thing like a lot of the programs do. It's much deeper than that, right? You can hit more. These blue ones are like the standard tags. You have the orange ones that are found in similar folders. This is like all of the tags in the black. You can even hit plus and add a tag if you want to make your own custom tags. They will come and transfer along with the sound, and you can multiple click as many sounds tags as you want that match the sound. So mood, dreamlike, floating, kind of hopeful. If this was like a death doom, then I'd have dark and disturbing and suspenseful and nervous or space. You know, the tags are there for that type of thing. Genre is what musical styles it can be used for. I typically say ambient, dance, electronic, and film or pop. And you can go down here and say, you know, chill and ambient and all that stuff, but that's not important. Complexity is how complex is this in your mix. This sound, it could be a 1 or a 2. 3 means it like completely owns the whole mix and you can't do anything else. But if you can have drums and bass, and this is a melody part, if it's used for a melody like a film score, it might be a 2. But typically I say simple because mostly I make components. And then author, this is where you put your name. And if you don't have your name, you hit assignments and type in your name so that you have your name here. All these people are programmers that have made patches and stuff like that. They're in my database here in my Omnisphere. If you can put keywords if you want. I name my libraries here so that if you want from right here in the search, you can go here and say, and all the patches, oh, if I'm in all Spectrasonics, right? It will show just the Boombox. If I was to say Omnipulse, then boom, all my Omnipulse patches show up just like that. In fact, this probably shows both volume 1 and volume 2 patches together. And so let's get back to saving patch as, and we save into the bell and vibes, and we were going through, I don't mind saying that. And then, well, the stars is a separate thing. So then the web link, important or not, these things here, you don't have to fill out keywords, you don't have to fill out web link, you don't have to fill out notes. It's helpful to have notes. Every one of my patches has notes, sometimes to crazy ridiculous levels and lots of humor and lots of fun because I like putting personality into my work. So my notes are fairly complete. If you go to the patches level right here, this is where you see your voting system for stars, 1 to 5 stars. And by doing that, you can then, I don't even use this much, so I'm not sure how you would then search. And oh, here you go, sort by ratings. And that would allow you to have things that are 5 stars show up at the top of the list. So if you click over here just to the left of the patches, you can get the ratings to go away. But this is helpful for a lot of you If you have, let's say, search, we're in all, we don't have anything, so it's showing all the libraries. If you're going through the library, it's fun to 5-star the patches that you like, right? And then you can say sort by ratings, and at the very top of the list, out of the thousands of patches in Omnisphere, will be just the patches you like to use that you've gone, oh, that. So my question was in the direction of, what if your Steam disk crashes or you're creating, how can you have all your personal info tags? You'll have to email Spectrasonics. I'm not getting into that. That's over my pay grade. I don't know. My patches and the tags in them, when you copy over those patches, those tags are added to your new system. But I don't know of a way to, if you do ratings and stuff, there is ways to get in and transfer that over. But again, email tech support at Spectrasonics and they can tell you how to do that. I'm not going to try to explain that. That's not my responsibility. I don't work for Spectrasonics. I do more support for them than, yeah, I do a lot. So, but I'm not going there. Okay. So are we good? I'm glad to stay and help if there's more questions. 3D Sounds plugins. I don't know 3D Sounds plugins. Oh, time for our shout out. Location shout out. Where are you at? So I can call out your towns and your cities and your countries. I'm going to say greetings from Portland. Yes, my highest pay grade is the love of your customers. I love and I appreciate my customers greatly. You guys have no idea. Glasgow, Columbus, Ohio, Germany, Bavaria, Portland, Oregon. Big E. That's funny, man. Finland, Georgia, Arizona, Rimrock. Hey, Sonny. Seattle. So don't forget, get your songs. You can send me an email to your SoundCloud link. A couple people have sent me the song. Send me a WAV file or an MP3. I'll host it and I'll put it into the playlist for the competition for the time. I'm going to send out a note on Monday so that you guys can, if you want, play the songs and send me your list of your top. We want top 10 if you can. Because then we can like put it all together and see what we get. It's just for fun. Again, this is not a crazy, this is not for thousands of dollars. This is for the love of music. So do this if you can. I think Dear VR is a pretty useful 3D plugin. Oh, okay. Hey, Idaho, Germany, Vermont, France. It's just so cool. We all get together from all around the world. I love that. Hey, George in the UK. Leicester. I wonder how you say that. Cox in Bangkok. I got your mix, by the way. It's on the playlist. That's great. From Idaho, where I grew up. Boise, Idaho. Woo! Houston, Texas. Dude, you guys were amazing in the World Series last night. That was great. Calgary, Vermont, Munich. Awesome. I'm so glad you guys are all here. Thank you for joining me and for being part of Guru Nation. It's a really fun thing I love every week, and I've talked to many of you that love this too, so we'll keep doing it because it's just fun, fun, fun. So, I don't have my cellos anymore. Where's my cellos? I'm here doing tagging. There! Happy place. Cellos in space. Let's be a little bit more. Palm Springs, Northern California. Nice. Thank you everybody for joining me. We will do a live stream on Saturday. I'm going to be announcing winners on Halloween. I don't know if we'll do a live stream or not. I might. I'll send you a note if I do. All right. Thanks, Big E. Love making you. We ever make a library of just textures? You know, I know a lot of people love textures, and so yes, I think I will. It's not my forte. I think I can do it really well. I just haven't really focused on it. Textures, for me, textures are, I need them to be a little bit more playable than just a, you know, inside. Let me show you this. Inside of BoomBox, there's a lot of really cool texture things. Let's see. Initialize this puppy. Because I do love a good texture. So in BoomBox, boom, turn off OmniPulse. There's all these textures here, and a lot of these. Oh wait, this is the Boombox. There's a ton of them in the bonus, by the way. Make sure you get the bonus. I'll keep that link up on my website until November 1st, but then the only way to get the bonus after November 1st is in BoomBox, the library. It comes with that. So, but there's these the textures that are the cores. And then I made a bunch of textures. You know, I suggest leaving now. So, is this what you mean? These types of textures? I kind of like need some direction on, because textures can be like these types of things. But also I think to me, and maybe more useful, are the pads that I created, that they're pads but they have stuff in them. There's all sorts of stuff in this beyond just a pad. The bells. One note long textures. Ah. Yeah, that's something I have to work on, because I'm a player. I'm used to playing instead of just holding down for a long texture that goes forever, you know? It's like I need to play. So maybe that would be a sample library. Or maybe it would be something I would make into long samples from things that I recorded and then put into Omnisphere. Well, that's a good idea. But I think pad textures, because I have to think about customers and the whole scope of customers, and so I want something that a lot of people can appeal to. I mean, there's so much, and the texture category is actually really huge, because even in Omnisphere, there's a category of soundscapes playable and soundscapes that are just effects. So it goes all over the place. But yeah, texture pads is one of my fortes. For all the time with Korg, I did a lot of those types of things for the different keyboards. So I love that kind of stuff. So the pads in here, I made them so that there is a texture plus. And again, I can't emphasize, this is so fun to like go, well, this has liquid nitrogen. Hit the little folder icon and hit sound match. It's all you have to do. And here's a whole bunch of tons of other. Let's put that in with the pad now. Just became a whole lot scarier. So the pads are a template starting point that you can take out to all sorts of things. So I can definitely do a pad library. That'd be fun. Texture pads, you know? All right. Thank you. Happy Halloween coming up. Be safe. Have fun with your kids if you have kids. Scare kids if you don't have kids, but in a good way, of course. And we will see you soon. Tonight, midnight, deadline for the songs. Send me a link from SoundCloud where you have your song, or email me your song file. Okay? There's information on my website, so go there to get the info. And thank you all so much. Appreciate your support, and I really enjoy these live streams as well. So thank you. It's good to have friends around the world like